What up, bro? I'm looking forward to this main card, bro. This was a solid ass main card, top to bottom. We were just getting into that, but
So solid, so solid.
like,
All the fights were
like I said,
super solid too.
yeah, like on paper, I wasn't super stoked, leading into the Pichel Madsen fight, but that's on me. That's on me. That's not on them. I should have known better. These guys are some top of the line studs. And it's really a damn shame that neither one of them is ranked. I think they're both good enough to be in. We'll get into that. And then, you got Durham versus Torres. Can't say I was necessarily stoked for it, but I understood why it was a main card fight. Durham's had main events. Torres is a big name.
Not to mention how the fight ended up playing out in both cases, Madsen and the Torres Durham
Yeah.
fight. I think these fights played out in a crazy way that were way more entertaining than I thought they'd be, right? Like, it's not necessarily I was surprised by whoever won because I think in both these fights, odds are so close. Literally any of those people can win these fights, right? Whether that be Pichel or Madsen in their fight or Torres and Durham in their fight. So it wasn't so much the winner that shocked me or the end result. It was how we got there in both fights.
Yeah, for sure. We had definitely some very entertaining fights. Starting off the main card, we got Vince Pichel, minus 115 versus Mark Madsen, undefeated. Let me remind everybody, and minus 105. So essentially a coin flip at the lightweight division. Just two absolute hammers. Vince Pichel, I think he's had some injuries, but he has a gorgeous, beautiful record, and he's fought some top guys. And then Mark Madsen's undefeated, former Denmark wrestling champion, I think. And
so silver medalist in the Olympics, I believe twice. He's competed 3 times in the Olympics, and I believe he's actually won a world championship in wrestling in between those Olympic competitions.
Yeah, so absolute stud wrestler who actually has some pretty solid striking.
His hands are pretty solid, but you know what I think was on display, at least for me, when I was watching Madsen fight, and then Dean Thomas came in and broke it down way more eloquently than I could, is his first round, I noticed he went so heavy with the leg kicks. So heavy with the leg kicks.
Shout out. What up, Coach Nation? Appreciate you tuning in. Cheers to you. I hope you're having a good night. But yeah, we're talking this Pichel-Mark Madsen fight, and Mark Madsen came in with a heavy leg kick, heavy calf kick strategy, which, like I said, out of a wrestler you don't necessarily expect. But then at the end, he got the takedown, which we did expect. Well, I was impressed with his ability to mix it up and not just go straight to Old Faithful, not just go straight to the wrestling. He was willing to strike, get him thinking about those leg kicks, and then probably made the takedown that much easier, I imagine.
Well, and I think what Dean Thomas said that I didn't think about but is absolutely true is that by doing those low leg kicks, it establishes a range where Pichel needs to get inside that window, that lower leg window, right, so that he is close enough to strike. Well, if you're close enough to strike boxing, you're close enough to get taken down.
Oh, that's a very, very astute observation. I agree for sure. That's a great strategy. But yeah, Pichel was landing his own calf kicks, but with the takedown, really, you got to give round 1 to Madsen. Competitive round though. Now round 2, round 2, and I didn't think this was going to be controversial when I scored it this way. I thought it was kind of obvious.
You scored it to Pichel, I assume, right?
I scored it to Pichel.
Of course, he outstruck him, and I thought out-grappled him at points.
Now, apparently, you know what I mean? We're not
in a minority
with us. Yeah. But I thought, like I said, I didn't even find it to be that hard or that razor thin or that much of a coin flip. I like Pichel in round 2. He outstruck Madsen, and then he got Madsen in a calf slicer attempt, which I think was decently close to
You could tell actually there was at one point, and it didn't actually make a difference in the fight, but it had the all-out potential to. At one point, Madsen was trying to sweep backwards, and you could tell his calf muscle was still kind of asleep, and his foot kind of gave out on him, and he recovered super fast. But I was like, that is from that calf slicer, 100%.
I didn't notice that. Fucking good observation, bro. And then he, on top of all that, as if that's not enough to win you around, he takes Madsen down. The first time Madsen's ever been taken down inside the octagon, former Olympic wrestler, takes him down. If that's not enough to win you around.
Right. That's how I feel, right? Is you took down the Olympian wrestler and you outstruck him and you put him in a calf slicer. What were we talking about?
How does that not win you around, dude? Seriously. Yeah, no, I agree. How does that not win you around?
So we both have it 19-19, and I think we had it. I think that's the most fair score. I'll be just out blatantly honest. Like, here, I'll find the two judges' names real fast because I have them right here. Let's see. That would be.
Like, what did Madison do in round 2? Like, seriously, I don't have the best memory in the world. Like, it's been a couple of days. What the fuck did he do in round 2? Like, I really don't even know.
Like, really nothing, man. Like, I mean, he shot some strikes. I think he got in a grappling battle, and that he went for a takedown and almost got it, but that's how they got to the calf slicer exchange.
Yeah.
And then from there, you see Pichel get his own takedown after. Yeah, I don't see how it makes no sense. Only judge that scored round 2 to Pichel was Sal D'Amato, who's the most seasoned veteran judge of the UFC. So it feels good to have him agree with us. Because the other guy, Howard Reichbach and Christopher Lee, were the two that and Christopher Lee
always fucking up.
Always bad. So that actually makes me feel more justified in seeing those two guys score it wrong.
Yeah, seriously.
So
I feel you, bro. And
all that to say, round 3, so it all comes down to 1 5-minute round for us. And I think if listening to the corners, Madsen's corner told him he lost round number 2.
Yeah.
They actually told him he might have lost round 1 and round 2.
Which I thought that was good corner work more than anything, but I think he did lose round 2. I really do.
For sure. And so for him to come out and just immediately get the takedown, not immediately, about a minute in, and then maintain that position out for so long, it's how the fight should have gone for him every round in an ideal world. But in a winner take all third round, so he did what he had to do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then Madsen, the takedown, the control. Round 3 looked how, on paper, probably a lot of people thought this whole fight was going to look, and I think it's just credit to Vince Pichel for just he fought his ass off. He made it competitive.
I like Pichel's skill set too, man. I think he's tough everywhere.
Tough, man. He's real tough. I mean, we're talking about like prime example, bro. Last we were talking about Patty's overrated. Patty's not the real deal. Patty does not want the Vince Pichel smoke, and that's an unranked lightweight.
The Marco Madsen smoke might be tough for Patty Pimblett as well. If I'm being honest, it would be.
Dude.
Patty's really good at jiu-jitsu, though, so he kind of keeps that in his back pocket at least.
And Olympic wrestling usually beats the jiu-jitsu.
True. But I think Pichel might put hands on Patty Pimblett. I think that's a problem.
Me too. Yeah, Pichel's hands are very real, and then everything else is like good enough to not be like outclassed, right? Because I mean, if you got to wrestle, you got to take down on Marco Madsen. He defended some couple takedowns to Marco Madsen. He put Mark Madsen in a calf slicer. So you're talking about grappling. I mean, Vince Pichel, you talk skill set. I mean, pretty goddamn well rounded.
Yeah, like I said, man, this is a fight where I would stock up on both guys leaving the fight.
Me too. I'm glad you felt that way. Me too. Because I mean, some people might roll their eyes when we do that, but it's a real thing. It's a real thing.
No, of course it's a real thing. And then it's like we'll get into it in 2 fights, but no one lost stock in 2 after the Torres fight. After Torres Dern, I don't even want to give it away. Each guy won that fight. Now, obviously, there's only one real winner, but there was no loser in that fight.
For sure, but I mean, I guess Mark Madsen, man, he's now 12-0, still undefeated in the UFC, and the real fucking deal. We mentioned the Olympic credentials. I mean, I think big things are coming for Mark Madsen. Like, I mean, we can leave open to interpretation what big things are, but I mean, I think ranked fights. I mean, I think he's gonna get tough competition, Like, what does Mark Madsen versus fucking Fiziev look like? I mean, obviously, if Fiziev can keep it standing, he wins. But he could easily take Fiziev down. Not easily, but conceivably, I guess it would be the word to use.
I'm totally with you, man. I mean, he's 4-0 in the UFC. I think now we're at that point where if you want to give him a Brad Riddell, a Diego Ferreira, and see if he's a 14-15 guy, I'm okay with it. Like, Madsen 12-0, 4-0 in the UFC.
We've seen it before. Like, Olympic medals get you like benefits of doubts with matchmaking,
because you've competed on a world level at the highest possible level.
Bro, Alex Pereira's getting a number 4 ranked fight off a kickboxing credential. So I think if Alex, and I'm not saying Madsen needs like a push, but like you said, you give him.
I think he deserves it.
Yeah, you give him a Riddell or a Ferreira. I mean, who's arguing that's not deserving? I mean, you got to do something with those guys, right?
Yeah, and I think him and Ferreira would be a super fun fight. as far as the style in which they would fight each other.
But yeah, and then like I said, Pichel, I mean, I think there's a lot of lightweights that don't want to smoke with Pichel. I mean, even some ranked ones, you know?
For sure. Like, if he was to fight...
That's a tough night out. That's a tough night out.
Honestly, think about this, man. Gregor Gillespie's number 8, but stylistically, Madison and Gillespie would be it'd be a tough matchup for Gillespie.
They'd probably have to end up standing and banging, right? The two wrestlers, like...
Right.
That'd be interesting. And Madison showed us those leg kicks he's been working on, which that's going to help him, man. Like long run for his career, like being a wrestler. You had some nasty calf kicks on that. That's a nice combo.
Right, yeah. Because as soon as they break the leg kick distance, you're in your distance to shoot and take him down. Or he's a Greco-Roman, so to just upper body grapple him.
Well, then if their legs numb too, or their ankles compromised, it's gonna be easier to take down. Like it works twofold. It's just like I like Madison's style. I think big things are coming from Madison. Now, wide range of what could fall under the umbrella of big things, but I think it's fair to say big things coming from Madison.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Now, we'll keep it pushing. But what I would say is I found this very, very odd, and I wanted to get your take on this before we break this fight down, is these two girls at their press conference, Tisha said, if I beat Mackenzie Dern, I expect to be fighting for a title eliminator, or a contender eliminator.
Yeah.
Title contender eliminator. That's what it is. She wants to be in one of those fights, right, where she's the next girl up, right?
Yeah.
Well, Dern said the exact opposite, which was, if I beat Tisha, I probably need to win 2 or 3 more to get that shot.
Which is why, I literally, hold on, let me pause, not interrupt, just pause, interject. That exact statement by Dern is the reason why I included my Tisha Torres in my parlay. I hated that statement from Dern. Please continue.
Too. So I'm glad that you prefaced it in such a way, because here's why I think me and you both hate it so much. Dern's the higher-ranked fighter at number 5. If she beats 7, she should fight one more time. And if she wins impressively over Xiaonan or the girl that just beat her, which is what's her name?
Who was the girl that beat Dern?
It's Marina Rodriguez.
Marina Rodriguez.
And Rodriguez, I think, is I think she is that next level girl.
Yeah. I think she has a fight booked, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe Rodriguez and Weili are going to fight.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then Esparza is booked to fight Namajunas. Only name open for Dern is Xiaonan. And she did say, I think that fight makes sense, blah, blah, blah. And it does. But it's one of those things of, are you just going to try and fight 5 versus 4, then 4 versus 3, then 3 versus 2? Are you just going to, is she trying to slow path her way all the way up? Or I just don't get the Dern thing.
Well, because she's gotten pieced up, man. If she's gotten pieced up by I mean.
All right, well, let's dive into this fight.
You know what it is? It's actually, I have an answer. I thought about this. I forgot that I had thought about this, but I remembered the conversation I had with myself because I'm crazy. I think what my interpretation for that is Rose Namajunas is the worst possible fucking matchup for Mackenzie Dern.
I thought about that as well.
So I think what Dern means by that, I think that she doesn't think Rose is going to defend the belt more than 3 or 4 times. So if she can fight anybody not named Rose 3 or 4 fights, then when somebody else has the belt, that's maybe a better stylistic matchup. Maybe a Weili, a Joanna.
She's trying to be opportunistic about it and sees the best opportunities for herself. But here's my problem with that, man.
She doesn't want the Rose smoke or the Rose matchup. I think it's about that one girl. I think it's about that one matchup. I think
totally agree
that
with
whole
you.
Statement is career arc is based off of.
But I guess my whole problem with it is if you look at let's just pick another champion. We could probably pick any of them. But for my analogy here, Usman, when Usman was coming up, people wouldn't fight him, and he would literally fight anybody because they were all aware of how good his skill set was. And he was like, I don't care who I have to fight. Put anyone in front of me and I'll beat him. That's why he's the champion now, because he has that mindset. I think Dern's mindset.
For a fighter. That's what I'm saying. I literally bet against her based on that mindset. Now we'll get to it. I lost that bet.
Well, barely. And also, I think it's important we go round by round here because we do have a split decision on our hands.
We have a split decision on our hands. Although I'll say I agreed with it. Let's go.
I did as well.
all right. So we got 5 versus 7. Dern minus 120, Torres plus 100. Round 1, you know, Dern actually, dude, her striking was some of the best I've ever seen it in round 1.
Dern's? Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, especially against Tecia Torres, who's literally usually a striker.
Striking's always been the knock on Durham. We've seen her get pieced up on the feet. Even in fights that she's won, we've seen her get pieced up on the feet. She outstruck Tecia Torres essentially on the whole round was pretty much on the feet. Maybe a little clinch, but it was all on the feet. She was going forward, which we never really see out of Dern on the feet, right? And throwing volume. You never really see that out of Dern on the feet. Love Dern in round 1.
So I thought round 1 was close, incredibly close. For as much as I love Dern's improvement, I still scored it for her. But what I mean to say is that round was very close. For all the praise I'll heap on Dern, it's more of a personal praise of like I didn't expect her to have that skill set to win a round.
Maybe that's what skewed me. Maybe that's what skewed me because it's like a weighted grade. Like if you're getting outstruck by Dern, I counted it for extra. Or
right.
Maybe that's not fair on my part.
See, that's what I'm saying is like it's almost not unfair for you to give round 1 to Torres in that aspect, right? If like you weren't overly impressed with Dern's striking, you actually just objectively tried to view it, which is impossible in a judgment, of course. But I can see where you'd go to Torres, and I can see why I went to Dern.
Yeah, I went to Dern like confidently. Like honestly, like I don't have the word close in my notes, but like I said, maybe that's skewed.
Man, I had it as really close, but okay. So going to round 2, this is one of my favorite rounds of martial arts that I've ever seen in the UFC because I've never seen it.
Yeah, I mean, Dern was just sub after sub after sub. I mean, which is what we expect out of Dern.
But the way she did it, where she got Tecia Torres pressed to the fence and then jumped up and tried to go for a Kimura with like front backpacking her.
Yeah, it was exactly like body triangle, but from the front, which you don't see all that often. And then we thought maybe she was trying to pull guard or get some kind of flying triangle, but she attacks Kimura from that position. You don't see it every day. You're right. I mean, but that's what also to me it's like okay, that like high level jiu-jitsu. That's what I expect to see from Durham. You know what I mean?
Well, but it was though, man, because
it was high level.
Yeah, because for Torres to be holding her on her front and holding her up, I mean, no, 115. It's not that they're not the heaviest. The heavyweight couldn't do this, of course.
They're
but
a pretty big 115 or like relatively and all in perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just that she's short. Like her thickness is there for sure. So for me, it was essentially like a 5-minute BJJ match in the second round. Which, I mean, who's going to win that? Every time. Every time.
Which I like that Dern was able, like by hook or crook, like by any means necessary, was able to make it that style of fight. Like I said, by the weird positioning, like that we never see the standing body triangle from the front. Like just she like was not gonna have that round not be a jiu-jitsu match. You know what I'm saying? Like she made that happen.
And she spoke about that with Rogan afterwards, which I thought was really indicative of her mindset in the fight. Which is that she doesn't want to pull guard because she thinks it's cliched. That's essentially what she said in her post-fight. That's ridiculous.
She kind of did, but I got to say, if this is her new, cooler way of pulling guard, standing like body.
If you can stand and jump into guard, that's way cooler. I'll do that every time.
Like, yeah, sign me up, right? Like I'm not complaining. Like I didn't have no snooze in my notes. That was fucking cool.
Wasn't a snooze. In fact, it was the opposite. Like I was so invested in. I've never seen this before. I got to see how this plays out. This is wild. She almost transitioned to a leg or a knee bar at the end of that round. It was crazy, man. So that.
So we have 2018 Durham after 2.
Right, which only one judge agrees with us here. No, I'm sorry. 2 judges agree with us here. One judge has it split, 1919. Now, round 3, I thought as clear as round 2 was for Dern, 3 was almost as clear for Torres.
Oh, yeah, Torres, man. That up kick knockdown, which I think in slow-mo ended up being more to the chest, but in real time, I thought it was on the chin.
I thought it was the chin, bro. I was like, ooh, she just got rocked.
Me too. Okay, I'm glad I'm not alone. We're honest. Other podcasts aren't as honest as us. So we'll put ourselves out there. Hey, I thought it was to the chin in real time. Now the replay, that's why we have the technology. But also the kicks to the body, Dern was not feeling it. and it almost makes you wonder, if Dern was gassing a little bit, because as much as Tisha Torres was holding both of their weight, she was holding her own weight at that figure 4. That's exhausting.
I was wondering about Dern's hips in round 3 because like her hip strength to be used for 5 minutes straight like that, that's going to be taxing on your movement.
And let's not forget the striking volume in round 1, which I don't think she's ever done in her career, ever want to round off striking volume. So, I'm sure her cardio was getting pretty near maxed out. I mean, that's not making excuses. I mean, exactly, it's the opposite in mixed martial arts. Compliments to Torres' cardio, especially how that fight looked in the first 2 rounds. Round 3 to Torres for sure. Me too. I had it 29-28 to Dern. I believe you did as well.
Yeah, I did.
2 judges agreed with this.
1 judge has it for Torres, which, like I said, man, that first round, if you were liking what you saw from Torres, because you weren't surprised by what you're, but that's where I get caught up is like I was so surprised to see Dern be able to stand and strike that it was almost like I kind of got to give her this round because she held.
It's a real thing, though, man. It's a real thing, though.
My expectation.
We saw Conor McGregor come out and do like a blast double on a wrestler and hold him down. We'd be like, holy fuck.
It's like my expectation was superseded, so it allowed me to like be a fan of what Dern was doing. So essentially I was like more invested in her doing what she was doing.
I'm glad you painted the picture for Torres round 1 because I'll be real, like I wasn't really seeing it. Like I thought that judge was tripping, but I'm glad you showed the whole picture there. But Dern, I thought the right girl won, man. Split decision, whatever. She wins. 5 beats 7. I think Torres, she's scrambling now. I mean, she finds herself in a weird place. In a weird division. A lot of young killers in that division, and she's kind of an old guard.
Well, I think too, as we talked about it beforehand, she was trying to essentially beat Dern, get 1 fight more, and then fight for a title. And I think that all has to do with her age and placement in the division.
100%. Yes, exactly. So now, does she retire? Is she down to be a gatekeeper? What does that look like? Either way, it's not probably the greatest. She probably doesn't have another run in her. And then Dern to me is frustrating because I'll be honest. I don't foresee Dern ever winning a belt, but I also think Dern is well deserving of her top 5 spot. It's almost like Wonder Boy. I mean, Wonder Boy's kind of worked his way out of that spot, but he held that spot down forever. Like a Korean zombie held that spot. You know what I mean? Just like you're good enough to be top 5 and you're not a 10 and you're really, 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 really good. But it's not.
You just can't get that final over the hump.
Yeah, I just don't. And maybe, in a couple of years we'll look back and I'll have to put my foot in my mouth and Dern's the champ and she's, the next Charles Oliveira. But I don't necessarily see that. Granted, I wouldn't say she's too, but I mean, the striking looks much improved. Maybe. I mean, like I said, I think Rose fucks her up.
I see, but here's the one thing. I think Weili beats her bad, too. I don't think Carlos Esparza does.
You're right. I also agree with that. But I also don't think Carlos Esparza about to win the belt from Rose. So, that's kind of a moot point.
Well, do you think that if Esparza loses, they make Esparza fight Dern?
Maybe. But
I mean, Dern called for the Xiaonan fight. Like, she literally was calling for it, and it makes sense.
It makes sense. But still, then what? You think you win that fight and you're not the number 1 contender? Well,
that's my thing is you can't beat 4 or 2, and if you beat him in a strong fashion, you're pretty much up in, asking for a title shot.
Especially in that division that's kind of needing contenders.
Actually, you know what? That's a fantastic segue to our next fight, purely based off ranking.
Oh, man.
And this next fight,
about it, bro.
Man, I mean, this was the fight that I wanted to buy the pay-per-view for this fight and the one after it more so than I did Volk. And that's my whole point when I came in on the prelims talking about Volkanovski being the main event wasn't the true main event of this because I don't think it's – and here's my real problem with it too, man. I'll be very clear about this. He gets more pay-per-view points than anyone else as the main event belt holder with the most consecutive title defenses. So he reaps the most money off the pay-per-views that are sold. Well, fucking not Ian Gary, but Khamzat and the Aljamain Sterling beef sold this for him way more than him versus Zombie.
hopefully Volk, buys Chimaev maybe a nice steak and a watch or something. Hey, who knows? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But,
you would think.
that type of shit happens. But this fight, I swear I'm not trying to pat myself on the back and sound like Genius McGee. This fight honestly looked kind of how I thought it was going to look, as far as I thought this fight was going to be close. I don't think a lot of people did. Like I said, we talked last week about how we didn't like the huge money line. Like, Gilbert Burns is a real motherfucker, a real top guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, almost finished Usman when he fought for the belt. Like, almost.
yes,
like, he was close.
almost. Like, I thought he did. In real time, when I was watching that fight, I thought he knocked Usman out and won the belt. Like, for that 2-second little increment in time in slow-mo, I thought he won a belt.
Before we dive into the rounds on this, this was my very first thing I wrote on my notes for this fight. It's before the fight began. And this is right after they got introduced, right? Right after. I wrote, I can't tell if these odds are justified or not, but damn is Chimaev entertaining. He's just entertaining to watch, man. When he sprinted out to the octagon, his demeanor in the octagon, sitting on the cage, watching Burns walk out so that he can be elevated to see him come in. I don't know. I loved it all.
Man, this is an overused term, and you maybe use the word cliche if you want, but Khamzat captures the imagination. Like,
for sure.
when you listen to him, when you watch him, like, you question what's possible for a human being to do.
And that's but that's part of the odds, right? That's why I was like, I can't tell if they're justified or not, because his mentality.
Is he
literally
Superman? But he might be.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing Vegas was struggling with, was like, is this dude as good as he knows and acts like he is? Or is this dude as good as everyone in his camp has been telling us he is for the last 3 years? Or is this dude not fought the top tier guys and maybe he's not that good?
See, man, and I literally, and I said these exact words last week when we were talking, man. There's just not a human being on earth, given how close Burns fought Usman, but there's not a human being on earth that Burns should have been a plus 375 under.
No, there's absolutely no way.
You can give me maybe plus 200, plus 220, sure, whatever, but plus 375, man. No, I guess when it's all said and done, Vegas gets the last laugh, but.
Khamzat was plus 110 by KO. That's so disrespectful to Burns. They're saying it's almost even money if you bet Khamzat to win by KO TKO. That's so disrespectful to Burns.
But it's not the only reason. Like, when you put it in relation to the minus 550, it's. I don't know.
I guess. Yeah, that's fair. But then it's like, but in that same aspect, Khamzat to win a decision was plus 380.
Yeah,
because he doesn't go to decision. So I get that.
Yeah,
but also
which is what we got here.
Yeah, right. Because Burns is good enough.
Well, because that was my question. Is what the fuck does a round 3 Khamzat look like? And I gotta say,
he seems scary. He seems scary,
but he also seemed human.
He seemed human, but think about the punches he had just eaten in round 2, and then to come out and just put the storm back on him again in 3. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, his will. Let's get to it, man. Because, I mean, what was your favorite round?
Probably round 2.
Round 2, right?
Round 2, right? Because you start to see Superman have his mask taken off. And you start to realize he ain't all that super.
It's just like, oh, dude.
Or like the underdog, or like Burns had already been through so much damage in round 1, which I scored round 1 to Khamzat. I think we all scored this fight the same, right? 1 and 3 are Khamzat, 2 is Burns. And there's knockdowns for the winner of each round in each round. Like Khamzat knocked Burns down in 1 and 3. Burns knocked him down in 2 and had him in. Dude, it was dangerous at the end of round 2 when Khamzat got knocked down.
Oh, dude, like Burns has the ability to knock out anybody, man. Like Burns, actually, I have a hot take for you. Burns has the heaviest hands in the welterweight division.
I totally agree, 100%. I was just about to say the same thing, and that Usman can't eat the power the same way Chimaev could. I think Chimaev's chin is better than Usman's.
All of those statements are fucking true.
It's crazy,
which
bro.
It's fucking fun and exciting, right?
Well, and it's even more fun too.
Everybody's trying to Oh, go ahead, bro. My
Well,
bad.
I was just gonna say we saw Khamzat put his hands on this way last night because he couldn't get the takedown. It's almost like if Khabib couldn't get the takedown, and we'd have to see him strike, and we got to see what that's like.
There's something to talk about there, though. There's something to talk about there because even his coach, like,
oh, his coach was freaking out. Like, why are you standing with him?
I think Khamzat like went rogue. Like, I don't think that said he couldn't take Burns down. And maybe it's revisionist history. Maybe it's, benefit of the doubt. But, like, Khamzat is saying, like, he like, was, like, hell-bent on standing and banging with Burns. And his coach was salty about it. He abandoned the game plan. He went rogue. I don't know. So that's one side of the story. Or do you believe it's because he couldn't take Burns down? Or what do you think?
I mean, fight opens up with Khamzat shooting in, getting up against the cage, getting a takedown, but Burns immediately is back up and is turning his back to stand up.
That's what my interest was like already peaked. I was like,
as soon as new. Because when Burns was standing up, he also punched Khamzat 5 times in the head, and I was like, he just hit him more than he's been hitting the rest of the UFC, and he's standing up from a takedown. So already
like off the rip.
Yeah, the cloak that was over Khamzat of like untouchability is being just slowly pulled down, right? And then by the end of round 1, you see Burns get hurt and survive for like 2 minutes. And then you realize Khamzat might be in for a night he didn't expect.
Yes, right. And like, what does Khamzat look like after that initial burst? We've never seen it.
And how does that affect him mentally whenever he can't get his opponent out in the first round?
And cardio-wise, because he mentally and physically.
And he did throw a crazy flurry with about a minute to go to try and get Burns out, and it couldn't do it. And so it speaks to your point of like, you'll gas out doing that. You got to be careful doing that.
Yeah, we've seen it happen a million times. It kind of looked like that's what happened a little bit because Burns came out and won round 2. I mean, busted Chimaev's nose, which once again, like seeing Superman bleed, seeing Darth Vader bleed, seeing, insert larger than life, you know what I mean, character there. Like seeing Chimaev's nose bleed and him like grab at it was like it was theatrical. It was fucking
Yeah, absolutely, man. And then for Burns to hurt Chimaev 2 minutes into round 2, and then for Chimaev to survive the way he survived, my whole takeaway was like my mental image coming into the fight was entirely wrong. Entirely wrong.
See, I'll be real, I fucking thought some shit like this would happen because it was just like, I'm just cliche McGee today. I played too much Madden as a kid, but like the unstoppable force meets an immovable object. Like it was just like collision course. And that's why I disagree with the money line so much because like, obviously, did I predict fight of the year or I thought it was, stylistically, just who each man was. It wasn't like either of these guys was going to like wimp out or break or,
if I told
Burns and Khamzat Chimaev.
Yeah, if I told you this fight would look incredibly similar to Gaethje Chandler, you would look at me like I was crazy. Leading into the fight, if I was like, yeah, this fight's going to go just like Gaethje Chandler, it's going to be a war for 15 minutes. No one would expect that.
I thought there was going to be a lot more scrambles, a lot more
grappling transition, defense from clinch, things like that. It just turned into a banger, like a stand-up banger.
Yeah, bro, I never like made the Chandler Gaethje like comparison, but you're right.
Super similar. It's super similar.
And how fun is that to see two world-class grapplers just like fucking say,
just decide to throw it on
the contest.
Yeah, just put it all on the floor and let's just start throwing them.
That's what we saw, man. It was like I said, man, theatrical, dramatic, fucking. I feel like there needed to be like goddamn like symphony playing like in the background. Like it was just.
Oh, dude, it was a beautiful fight. And then so I have it 1919, obviously, all of the world dead, I believe, at that point. And Chimaev's corner, that's when you see him at the end of round 2. His corner is freaking out. Yeah. Essentially, and we don't have a translator, but I guarantee you they were saying, take him down, quit striking with him, take him down, take him down, take him down.
The coach did an interview with, I think, Ariel or some fucking buddy, and they said exactly what you just said.
Right, which I'm not in disagreement with them. Like, they know his skill set. They know he is a better wrestler than striker. And if he's striking adequately, why not just try and get on top and have dominant position and not be in the danger zone of getting put to sleep like he almost did with 6 seconds to go in the round?
It makes you wonder, though, like, can Khamzat be put to sleep? Because, like, if some of those shots didn't do it.
See, that's my thing is, does he have the best chin in welterweight, him or Colby Covington?
Man, but don't all fucking welterweights have chins, though? Like, look at that list. Usman, Covington. Chimaev, Burns has a fucking chin of his own, right? I mean.
So let me ask you.
Bilal Muhammad, Luque. I mean, they
Oh,
all
yeah,
have
Luque has a
chins.
crazy chin, too. Luque has a crazy chin.
They all have chins. I mean.
Okay, so let me ask you this. With Khamzat beating Burns in a close fight that we all agreed was 2-1, but was a close fight. We saw Khamzat get closer to the fire than he's ever been put, right? Like, he had his feet to the fire, and he walked away on some hot souls. So, with all that in mind, Usman's going to fight probably the winner of Muhammad Luque for the next title shot.
He's booked against
Edwards.
Which is fucking annoying at this point. It's so annoying.
I don't disagree, but do you think the winner of Muhammad Luque, which is this next week, should fight Chimaev next to see who gets the title shot? Or Chimaev was talking about Covington.
Well,
Covington calls him shot.
Dana was talking about Covington, which I think his opinion matters more than anything.
And it sounds like he said that is the fight they're going to do, which is Chimaev Covington.
See, man, I have an opinion on this.
I think Colby's problematic for Chimaev. Big time if it's a 5-round. Big time.
Ooh, that's interesting, but that's not even my point. I think Khamzat did enough. I think that was about as heavy a lifting as you could possibly do.
Well, the only way he could have done better would be to just outright just dog walk Burns out in 1 round, right? But I think that leaves a lot of other questions unanswered. Whereas this way, we have all these questions answered. Yeah. Dude's got a chin. Dude's got a heart. Dude can fight 15 minutes hard no matter what. His power's crazy. His chin's crazy.
Oh, but you're saying if he fights Covington in a 5-rounder, that's
the cardio. The cardio becomes
cardio.
The 4 and 5, especially against a guy like Covington that pushes pace so crazy. Because Usman has that same cardio. That's where Covington and Usman meet each other, is the cardio.
You're right. Now, and then this upcoming week, we got Luque Bilal 4 versus 5. That's gotta count for something, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, does the winner of that fight the loser of Usman Edwards, and then Chimaev fights Covington, and then the belt holder is just the belt holder? Well, not really, though, right? Because if Edwards wins, you have to run it back with Usman. He's defended the belt too many times to not give him that opportunity.
You're right there, which I don't think anybody sees that happening. That's going to be a Korean zombie money line. Watch my words. And then,
so where does it leave Gilbert Burns? Because Burns seems to be the man out in all of this.
See, I could see Burns
Masvidal?
You could do Burns Masvidal. You could do Burns. Well, they already did Burns Wonder Boy.
That's what I mean.
You could do Burns versus the winner of Muhammad Luque.
Well, where does Burns fall to after all this, too? Because he'll drop back to, 4 or whatever, and then Luque is 4, Muhammad's 5, so he'll be 3v5.
I think they'll move Burns to 5, and then they'll give Khamzat probably 3, Luque 2, and Bilal 4, or some shit like that.
So maybe Sean Brady and Gilbert Burns, because they're such a great physical matchup for each other. Like, their physiques are so similar.
That would be a weird matchup. I don't hate it, but I don't think that co-main, on a fight night, or just a fight night in general?
I think they'd just be a fight night main event. Yeah, 5 versus 8.
Fun fight night main event. I like Sean, but I think we like Sean Brady more than most people.
But I think his skill set is pretty bulletproof, man. I don't think he has the flashiness of everyone else, but I think skill for skill, he can hang with all those guys. Like, when I see Bilal Muhammad and Sean Brady, I think so too. But I think Muhammad's very similar to Brady.
Oh, no, I think Burns beats up Muhammad, too.
Right. Okay, I'm glad we agree. Because I think right now, welterweight is 4 guys.
Burns and Luque won't fight because they're teammates. They won't fight.
So dumb. I really think welterweight's a 5-man race right now, and I have to say 5 because Edwards has the title shot. So Burns, Edwards, Covington.
I don't consider Edwards one of the guys. I literally consider Edwards in last place, maybe ahead of Bilal Muhammad.
Well, it's tough, right? Because, if you, if you go over the list of of people that they have beaten in the last 2 years, everyone else can have a name. Edwards has what? He has Nate Diaz, who's unranked. That's worth nothing to me when you're talking about fighting Usman.
Yeah, it's not worth nothing if you're talking about selling pay-per-views or making money, but if you're talking about competitive architecture, yeah, it means nothing. Exactly. That's why I don't fucking think he deserves the title shot. And I think he's been jumped and leapfrogged, and I don't care about his 8-fight win streak because he fights once every 18 months, and it's okay, a lot of I just don't like it. I think he represents a lot of the fucking sit and hide on your spot type shit that goes on in the welterweight division. Now, let me ask you this, because this is, I guess, the crux of what we're all getting to, and then we can keep it pushing, even though this is going to have a whole podcast of its own, the welterweight breakdown. But real talk, I guess what we're really trying to answer the question is, besides Usman, ranking, I guess you can't take out opinion, because that's what I'm asking you is your opinion, but take out ranking, take out, matchup, take out realistic shots at a title. Who is the best welterweight on earth not named Kamaru Usman? Who is that, in your humble opinion? I don't even know if I have an answer.
Man, I'm still going to say Covington, but I think Khamzat and Covington are right there. I think it's Usman's 1. These two other guys are 2A and 2B, and then you have Burns lurking right outside.
So it sounds like Khamzat Covington, is that the fight, man? I mean,
it has to be.
It has to be.
Because Khamzat's going to get pushed up to 3. Edwards will go to 2. So we have a 1 versus 3 in the welterweight to see who's going to fight the winner of Usman Edwards. Because that'll actually allow Covington to earn the shot to get a third chance.
That was my question. If Covington beats Khamzat, is that enough to get the? It is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the social fabric of Khamzat's aura. When you beat him, you steal it. So if Covington can beat him and steal that hype, then it's he'll literally look
too small. Because Covington's smaller than Burns.
I know, but it's the whole thing of, does Covington have to fight him in a 3-round fight? Because I think he loses. Does he fight him in a 5-round fight?
No way that's a 3-round fight.
That's my point. That's my point. And it's the last test Khamzat has is to fight 5 before he gets the title shot.
You think there's any chance in hell Khamzat gets him out of there in the first 3, though?
I absolutely can see that. Yeah, I absolutely can see that.
Wasn't able to do that twice.
No one's been able to do it to Covington. Statement. Not one guy's been able to do it to Covington.
It's a bad money line too. If you pick Khamzat inside the distance against Covington,
yeah,
you would get probably plus 300, plus 400, plus 500.
Yeah, it would be crazy because everyone expects Colby to keep distance, and he's a great wrestler, so it's not like Khamzat's going to be just getting free takedowns, especially if he couldn't get him on Burns.
That's what I think, though. I think they're going to stand and bang. I think it looks like the Burns fight, but I think Khamzat beats the shit out of Colby in that style of fight better than Burns.
It's hard to say though because Burns throws power, but
that's what I'm saying. And they were throwing power for power. But Colby can't match Khamzat's power with pepper, point fight jabs and shit because that's a tank versus a rifle.
It's interesting. Welterweight somehow got more interesting from this fight.
Which is awesome. And, we got to keep it pushing, unfortunately. Goddamn.
Yeah, I know. You're not wrong. We could literally do an hour on this and how it affects.
We're about to talk title fights, and we're like, oh, man. So that kind of leads to your point.
Okay, thank you. That's literally my whole point is that, and after we get off this fight, the next one, you're going to be like, yeah, well, now we just got this easy walkthrough. It felt like a Friday walkthrough for Volkanovski, whereas this next fight felt like game day.
Yeah, man. This next fight, man, I like next fight was just satisfying, dude.
I think there's only 2 things to be discussed in depth on this next fight too, as far as scoring.
We got snow here in Reno today, dude.
Really?
A ton of snow.
In mid-April? April 12th?
Yeah.
11th?
We had an 80-degree day a week ago. Yeah.
That's wild. We have all 80s this week. No, that's nice out here.
An awkward shiver. It's but, my bad.
No, you're good, man. So what I was going to say is it all comes down to how do you score round 1 and how'd you score round 2? Because I think we both have the same. And actually, I was watching this at a bar the first time. I bought it once I got home and rewatched them all again. But I was at a bar smoking some cigars, and this dude just hangs out at this bar all the time. It turns out to be a massive UFC fan.
Oh, cool.
And so we were going deep. Like he loves Yanez. Like he knows the unranked fighter. So I was like, okay, like I can talk to you.
Yeah.
But so we both agreed on how we scored round 2, which is I think how you scored round 2, how no other judge scored round 2.
I know. I was shocked.
So let's dive into it.
Dive all the way and introduce it. Money line rankings, all that.
So bantamweight, the bantamweight title. We always talk about bantamweight's the most stacked division. Well, hell, here's the top 2 guys for you.
Yeah.
And so these are the guys, like, when you talk about O'Malley, Yanez, this is who they'll fight. It's these guys, right? So, well, obviously, Sandhagen, Dillashaw, those guys too. But you get the point. We have the champion, Aljamain Sterling, champion in quotes for me, plus 320, fighting the interim champ, Petr Yan, who's minus 425. These odds were slightly disrespectful, but honestly, if you base them on the last fight, these were spot on.
Yeah, man, that's how I saw it. We actually, so that we and Harrison had a separate parlay that we had Yan inside the distance parlayed with Volk inside the distance, and it was going to give us, I think, like 4 or 5 to 1, right?
I think it ended up being 4.5 to 1 because it was 60 to win like 200 something,
like 290 or something like that. Yeah.
It was damn near a 5 to 1.
Yeah, it was juicy, and it seemed super realistic. Seemed like a good bet. You know,
man, I think if Yan doesn't make that mistake in round 2, he does finish him before 5's up.
Yeah, man. And so, so, let's dive into it because round 1, you know what, man? It's crazy. When I was watching it in real time, I had no idea that I was even watching like a controversial round, bro. Like seriously, like the thought didn't even cross my mind that this is gonna come back and be like a big, like vague, nuanced debate.
So I think the only thing that made it even slightly hard for people to score, and it wasn't hard for me to score. I have a very clear winner of this round, but what I think made it difficult for people to score was there was not a lot of action, not a lot of like meaningful action.
And we talked about that. Those are the hardest rounds to score.
For sure.
That is all true. That's all
now,
true.
all that being said is, what is the tertiary way to judge fights? And they've told us this in the rule set. It's ring generalship. It's who commands the octagon. It's literally why I scored it to Petr Yan.
Yes.
He was directing where the fight took place. He was doing, honestly, I think more leg kicks and damage.
He had Aljo on the back foot running.
And Aljo could. And Aljo could.
A wrestler on the back foot, he's useless.
And Aljo shot 3 takedowns that round and couldn't get one of them.
All stuffed.
So for me, it was like Yan is clearly the leader of the fight. He's the leader of the dance.
Bro, it wasn't close. Like when all this fight, it came down in the first round. It came down. How did you see the first round? Like I literally didn't think the first round was like close, bro. Like I mean, I guess it was close, but like Yan won it. Like it was obvious. Like what the fuck? Who gives Aljo that round? What the fuck did he do? He got stuffed and he ran in the back foot. Like god damn it, dude, that shit's frustrating.
I agree.
I'm not a Yan fan. I'm a Sandhagen guy. Like
yeah, me too. If I had to pick one guy out of the bantamweights, I want it to be Sandhagen so bad.
Yeah, like so bad. Like that's my guy. So if you're saying, "Oh, you're biased, you have a horse in the race, you're an Aljo hater," no, like none of that is true. I'm not a Yan guy. I'm not an Aljo.
It's like no, and in fact, you'd be against Yan for beating Sandhagen in this next fight up. You know, if that was like how we were going to view it.
And he's like white Moscow Russia, dude, the worst kind.
Yeah, Yekaterinburg, Russia is where he's from. But like, here's what was even more telling to me was they were booing Aljamain Sterling with hatred in Florida and chanting for Yan. And they're chanting Peter.
It's a real stat, and it's a bro stat, but it's a real stat. I swear to God, it's true. Anybody go fact check me. Petr Yan was the first Russian to get a cheer since the invasion of Ukraine.
Yeah, that's a legit fact. 100%. 100%. I expected them to boo him for being Russian, and they were all over him.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. Very, very interesting. Everyone hates Aljo, which I don't. I don't hate Aljo. No, I'm like,
I hate the way he acted and handled the situation of the first fight. If he had handled it better, I wouldn't dislike him.
just want to ask, my opinion on Aljo can be summed up in one question. Do I think Aljamain Sterling is the best 135-pound fighter on planet Earth? The answer is no. And now I can't necessarily make a legal argument on paper, but just whatever you want to call it, gut, eye test, whatever you want to call it. And I'm not even saying it's Sandhagen. Maybe, like I said, maybe it's one of these unranked guys that hasn't came up the rankings yet.
Maybe it's Sean O'Malley.
Maybe it's Davishvili. Maybe it's his own teammate. Maybe, but I'm saying I'm not sold that it's Aljo. So, it's not disrespect. It's not hate. It's not even opinion. I guess it's opinion. But, I just don't think he's the best bantamweight. And whenever, to me, the word best and the word champion should be synonymous. I think the best welterweight is Kamaru Usman. I think the best heavyweights, Francis Ngannou.
I think the best middleweight's Israel Adesanya.
Dude, I don't think the best bantamweight is Aljamain Sterling. So we both scored round 1, 10-9 PO to Young, but I guess only one judge agreed with us. Is that correct?
Chris Lee.
That's the guy we usually disagree with?
And Sal D'Amato scored it for Sterling. The other guy was a judge we never have. So, okay, now this leads me to my next question, right? Yeah. This is exactly right, round 2. This is the most important thing in the fight, and why my scorecard was not reflective of any scorecard on the table.
Me too.
Perfect.
I'm right with you.
Round 2 is a 10-8, man. It's a 10-8 for Sterling. He takes him down, gets his back for 3.5 minutes, and Yan does no damage.
Subs. That's the most important part. Because if he just held him down and leg humped him and maintained position, I would not have given it 10-8. But there was multiple sub attempts and pretty goddamn solid ground and pound.
One was super close too. That one of the chokes almost got locked in.
And it's we've never seen Petr Yan rendered useless ever.
Right, and he was exactly right. He was
fucking helpless.
So at this point, we both have it 19-18 to Sterling winning round 3. And now I think round 3 is a lot like round 2, but without the amount of damage and the extra control level.
My notes. You literally read my notes for me. Literally, I verbatim.
Yeah, and so, but I think that's obvious, right? I think this fight wasn't that hard to score at this point, right? And so for me, I have it 29-27 going into round 4. And then I think 4 and 5 are very obviously Petr Yan.
Yeah.
So for me, 47-47.
Sterling mailed in 4 and 5?
No. I would like to say that, but I think it's fight style. I think Sterling comes out so hard in his first 2 to 3 rounds, whereas Yan usually sits back and then he gasses heavy on 4 and he pushes down the gas on 4 and 5. Usually Yan does.
Like the classic Fast and the Furious scene when the guy shoots his nos too early.
Yeah, yes, exactly right. That's a great analogy. That's hilarious. I never thought about that. That's perfect. So that's why I thought Yan would be this overwhelming tidal wave that would come over the top in round 3. Round 4 would put a beating on Aljo, and then you'd finish him out early in round 5. That's literally how I saw it. It's why I think we agreed on the bet that we took.
I thought that Yan was just going to just stuff the takedowns and just beat the shit out of him. I really did. Did.
To your point, Yan outstruck him by 40 significant strikes, and Aljo was 2 for 22 on takedowns. Now, granted, those 2 takedowns literally won him round 2 and 3. But 2 for 22 is a dog shit stat and percentage. That's a 9% success rate.
Especially for a wrestler. Now,
right.
I gotta say, I think Aljo is the best 35er. He may be the most athletic. He may just make
good chance. And also, it looked like his physical condition was better than I've ever seen it, which he said he got those neck surgeries and stuff. So I think that helped him a lot.
If they did a combine, I think Aljo wins it. So that's not for nothing.
Maybe EPO Dillashaw if he's on the juice.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think the shot at Dillashaw wants to smoke.
But that's who's next. Dillashaw will get the next shot.
So we both scored at a draw, which I guess we kind of got to pipe down a little bit because a draw would give Aljo his belt back.
But it would ensure they fight again as champion and interim champion because Yan would get his belt back too. Because he's interim champion. He's interim champ, and it's a draw.
I don't don't think there's a need for an interim champ anymore. The whole interim champ was to bridge the
Right,
gap.
but it would establish a tertiary fight. Like they would have to fight again.
They would have to fight again
to because they want a unanimous undisputed, and so that'd still be disputed.
Okay, all right. Good point. Yeah, dude. So I think that's what should happen anyway. I'm not even like, dude. I will fuck TJ Dillashaw, bro. Like this whole concept that TJ Dillashaw has to fight for a belt again, like
it's stupid. It's they just love Dillashaw, bro. Like the UFC literally loves Dillashaw. And for what? He cheated. He used EPO, a blood doping cheating. Like, fuck that guy. Fuck that guy.
Like, it's like, okay, people make mistakes, people use drugs, everybody's doping, as the Diaz brothers say, whatever. What I'm saying is nobody owes you shit, dog. And like, there's just this narrative. So he beat Corey Sandhagen on a decision that nobody agreed with, and you're just like guaranteed a title shot. Like when there's so many stud bantamweights, like make him fight Dominic fucking Cruz again, or fucking
I see. Now I do wonder. Do you think Yan fights someone like Valashvili, Font, or Cruz next? Because he's not going to fight Aldo. He already beat the dog shit out of Aldo. Dillashaw is going to get to fight Sterling. Sandhagen has already lost to Yan in a close fight.
Yeah, he's going to have to fight Davishvili, which would make sense.
Or Font or Cruz.
Well, because the story's already there for the Davishvili fight, though, because Sterling's teammate, they had like hold each other back. They got like ran into it at the hotel. Davishvili like wanted to smoke with him,
they have like some weird Russian hate for each other because.
Oh no, it's not weird at all, bro. Like what happened in Ukraine right now. It happened already in Georgia, but nobody cared for some reason.
Oh, that's right. Valashvili is Georgian. I forget that. He's from Tbilisi.
For some reason, nobody cared when they did it in Georgia, but it's the exact same shit. Georgia's like
Georgia, Chechnya, and now Ukraine have all been done the exact same way by Russia.
Dagestan too.
Yeah.
Dagestan got swallowed up. Like that's why they have a Russian flag, but like. I'm starting to learn more. Like the Ukraine wars made me dig into like Russian history, and it's like it's just the Ukraine situation over and over and over and over. Like this is nothing new. It should have been expected.
You want to know?
Done it over and over and over again for like the past 100 years. Which the U.S. has done it too. That's how we got Hawaii. That's how we got Puerto Rico. That's how
Marshall Islands. All kinds of things like that.
You know what Guam. I mean? Guam. Exactly. Yeah. I'm not sitting here like. Being one-sided about things. Like I know the history of both sides, but I'm saying like this has just been like exactly Chechnya, Dagestan,
Georgia, Ukraine,
Georgia. I mean Kazakhstan. I mean all of them. Every country.
Hell, the only reason they don't take Mongolia is because Mongolia is protected by China.
Exactly, dude. So it's. I mean, I know we got a little geopolitical there, but it's all.
It's relevant. It's super relevant to why Valashvili hates Yan so much and why he was telling Aljo how to speak Russian phrases. I don't know if you noticed in the press conference. He told him shut up, motherfucker, in Russian. Dude, did you hear Jan's response? He looked over and he goes, "Shut your fucking mouth." In English, said it back to Aljo, and I was like, God damn, like he did not like that getting spoken Russian to like that.
No, I was like, Davishvili. His Davishvili is what, 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there.
He's six. But he's looked really good recently.
Yeah, he's looked unstoppable. And yeah, no, I'm here for it.
And if Yan falls to 3 or 4 versus 6, 3 versus 6, that makes all the sense on paper.
I hate to do it. I got to take a piss break.
No, you're good, man. You're good. I'll give people a quick little trivia note, which is one of the worst leaders in human history, leader of Russia, roughly 80 years ago, was born in Georgia. That would be Joseph Stalin. So there's a long history of these places that were once part of the USSR, were liberated by Western forces, and now Russia seeks to reclaim them based upon what they consider, like, not even antiquated, but essentially archaic values and borders, things like that. So wherever you fall in that debate, I'm not picking a side. I'm just trying to explain why Russia does the things they do and how they see it versus how we all see it, which is like, you guys lost. These people want to be free. They want to be liberated and independent. So it's a differentiation of mindset, right? So I say all that to say that Yan and Volashvili have a long-standing thing that it goes deeper. It's a cultural hatred for each other more than it is even just a fighter. I was just explaining the whole history of it as to how like Georgia and all those places were liberated by like the USSR and stuff whenever the Western Wall in Berlin was taken down, all that stuff.
The history in that part of the world is so fascinating because not because it's unique in what's happened. What's happened there has happened across the world over and over, but how recently it has happened. All of that shit has happened, but with the years 1990 in front of it.
Yeah.
Fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like the Dagestan, the Chechnya, the fucking Ukraine, dude, the Ukraine of the 2000s in front of it, like the 2012, like how recently, like it's like everybody else kind of stopped doing that shit or chilled out and did it on paper. Like they're still like straight up like conquering, and it's just, and it's not unique, but it's just. They're just more unapologetic about it. Like they're just like, of course
they don't appear imperialistic because they have an actual lineage as to a time whenever their border did encompass the territories they seek to reclaim. So they have this long-standing like, no, those people are Russian. You just made them not be Russian and called them something different, but they're still Russians. Like that's how they see it. You know what I mean? Which is a dangerous way to go about it.
No, man, that shit. I've been diving balls deep into that shit. I mean, I see you have too. How could you not, right? I mean, it's kind of what's happening right now. But
so
we do have a main event right now with an Australian.
That's what I was going to say. Is I would be dismayed if we did not give Volk his roses because last night's performance was fantastic. On every level.
It's an all-time great performance. And
yes.
The detractors will say, oh, as a minus 720. And I guess there's some credence to that. But it's like, okay, for example, I bet Barry Bonds hit a lot of home runs off of, like,
whack pitchers. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Nobody holds it against him. Or, like, I bet Michael Jordan dunked on a lot of like backup centers when the starter was fouled out or injured, or like fighting is like the only sport where that's kind of held against you. Like Adrian Peterson probably like got like a lot of 100-yard games whenever the opponent had their best player hurt, or like you know what I'm saying.
Or for the Vikings specifically, like they were a bad team all the time. So for the Vikings, it was like, okay, well we're down by this much or up by this much, like we just need to try and run the clock out. Let's just try and give our best player the ball. That was a lot of things to do with Adrian Peterson, his stats, of course. But I think in this case, it's like Volkanovski is not trying to fight Holloway a third time in a row after he feels like he's beaten him twice legitimately, and he should feel that way because I think the first fight he did beat him legitimately, and I think the second fight is so close that he has ground to still say that. Now, with all that said, he's already beaten Ortega. Rodriguez is coming off a loss to Holloway in which it wasn't that close. So the only guy that would make sense for this shot is Chan Sung Jung, the Korean Zombie. And Volk wants to fight. Like, he wants to just keep taking names off the list.
And I think he's earned that. I think he's earned the right to make paychecks and stay active and defend his belt, which that's what we want from chimps. People will hate on Volk for taking this fight, but then they'll also hate on the champ that fights once a year. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. There's only so many top guys.
So here's what I actually so just round by round real fast. Round 1, 2, 3, Volkanovski just dominates, right? Did you have 10-8s on any of those? I did round 3.
Bro, I guess this is a hot take. I had 10-8s on all of them.
Even one? I thought Korean Zombie did enough in round 1 to keep it close. 2, I wrote 10-8, but I thought that I'd be in the minority saying that. 3, you have to score 10-8, right?
Bro, so what is that? What's 10-8?
You had it 30-24.
I
Jesus.
swear to God, with confidence. Like,
I don't blame you. I had it 30-25, and I'm acting like that's crazy. And also, here's what I also want to ask you. The fight ends 45 seconds into round 4, and Herb Dean steps in and stops it while they're on the feet because Volkanovski's lighting him up so bad. The corner should have thrown in the towel. The best stoppage ever by Herb Dean. The corner fucking sucks.
No, that was fucked up. And Volk, man, you see the moment whenever at the start was the start of round 4, Volk was like, "You sure?"
Yeah, did he say that?
Oh, dude, he paused and was like, "Are you really like sure? Like, are you sure?"
God, he's such a
Zombie
good
being
guy, man.
zombie.
Like, I've
Yeah.
become such a big Volk fan. Like, I didn't like him
Dude.
because I loved Holloway so much, but the dude is so cool. He keeps winning.
I view this as like a showcase, and it wasn't like a show because a lot of times a one-sided championship fight, they try to sell it to us as a showcase, but it was really a champ just kind of riding out the clock, just playing the
John
point
Jones does
game.
that shit all the time at the end of his career in 205.
So Volkanovski didn't do that. He went fucking pedal to the fucking metal.
Literally walked into the fire.
A Ferrari that performed like a Ferrari. I am not mad at it at all. And like I said, people want to say the tuna can, the minus 720. I mean, Chan Sung Jung is possibly a Hall of Famer. I mean,
Yeah.
he's the fourth ranked guy. This was all about Volkanovski. And I guess Chan Sung Jung is just the body that had to be in there that night. But I mean, goddamn. I mean, like I said, the reason why I'm not mad at it is because I like active champions, and like I said, you can't be like, oh, I like active champions, but don't fight that guy. Like, you literally can't do that.
Yes, for sure. And that's the fastest way to have people hate you. It's just the fastest way. Now, I would like to note that you said potential Hall of Famer. I don't even think it's potential. I think it's guaranteed. Korean Zombie's going to be a Hall of Famer because if you look at. I mean, he's fought Mark Hominick. He has a win over Poirier. He lost to Aldo. He lost to Yair Rodriguez. He's beaten Bermudez. He beat Moicano. He beat Frankie Edgar. Lost to Ortega. Beat Dan Ige. And now lost to Volkanovski. He literally only loses to top 10, top 5 guys.
First ever twister, right? That's a record. He has, I think, a few records, if I'm not mistaken. So, definitely not a can. But I honestly, knew this was, what was going to happen.
That's kind of how I felt, right? Like, you just knew the skill set for Zombie wasn't there. The toughness of Volk and his defensive striking ability wasn't going to allow Zombie to connect with the flush shot, which is his only way to win the fight. And Volk's a 5-tool player, man. Like, when it, what I'm saying? Like, you say it in baseball, and they're rare. He's a 5-tool fighter. He will do everything as high a level as you can think of.
So fast, too. He looked so fucking fast. We think of him as being strong and scrappy and tough.
And just sharpness. Fast. Was everything not just so crisp?
Perfect.
There was no wasted effort.
Fight.
It was beautiful. And a lot of people, you can say that was because he was fighting an opponent that was not to his level, but that's only because you can only say that because there's only 2 other guys in the whole division that are on his level, and that's Holloway and Ortega. And Holloway is the same level, I would say. Ortega might just be that half step down, and then there's everyone else below him a full step. Although Arnold Allen has the time right now to make some vibes.
So I was about to say, there's only 2 names that could be next. There's only 2. It's either Arnold Allen or it's Holloway.
See, now it makes sense to run Holloway back again. Because Volkanovski wanted the excuse of, I don't want to keep fighting him in a row. Well, okay, we gave you a break. This guy's still number 1. He just beat number 3. You already beat number 2. We got to give you the top challenger. But then I could see him saying, no, I'm not fighting him again. I'm going to fight one other person before that still. And if that's going to be the case, would love to see. I think he hasn't earned it completely, though, right? Because he didn't beat. Right. Well, Cater I'm okay with, but I would much rather see Rodriguez fight someone, and then the winner of that gets a title shot. I know that sounds Mickey Mouse. Honestly, it does. But it's so tough with the way Volkanovski cleared out everyone else. And he doesn't want to keep repeating fights when there's other challengers.
0 damage, bro. I feel like he's going to want to fight in 3 or 4 months because he's
I know. So but I could see him trying to get put on the July International Fight Week card and waiting 4 months.
That is 3 or 4 months. That's to say we almost in May, bro.
That's 3. That's 3 months, yeah. You're right. You're right. Well, then they need to put Arnold Allen and Yair in a cage in a month.
That would be a fun one.
It'd be fun, and I think both those guys are deserving of the opportunity if they were to beat one or the other. And I think Arnold Allen definitely deserves it, but you just need to see him beat someone in the top 5 of his own weight.
Yair needs to be active, so he needs to say yes whatever the UFC calls him.
But man, think about this. All this stuff we're saying, what does it all lead back to? It's Holloway again, right? Is it not, from a purist perspective?
Well, see, I think the purest perspective is Arnold Allen because he's undefeated.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, but it's just like so hard for me to say yes to that when he doesn't have a top 5 win in his division.
But he's beat a guy that was top 5 in another division. Like,
I know, but it's so tough. I don't.
How is it tough? It's a bit like, I don't think it's that tough in my opinion.
Well, it's like Dan Hooker has a name and he's really good. And I know, like, I respect Dan Hooker. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to knock Dan Hooker. I'm just saying that he came to a new weight class, has made that cut before.
Right. Well, I'm not about to shoot a fucking missile through your argument right now. Korean Zombie's last win was over Dan Ige before he fought Volk. Boom goes.
But you don't think this was a Mickey Mouse title fight?
Only because I've said it a million times. I can't say no now when I'm on the spot, but
it feels that way, and I don't want to do that.
But again. I'm saying Arnold Allen wouldn't be Mickey Mouse at all. So like that's what I'm saying. It's kind of like irrelevant because like if I'm making the Arnold Allen argument, then like there ain't no Mickey Mouse like conversation to be had.
You know what? I'm okay with Arnold Allen. I'm okay with it. Now, what I guess I would say to add to that is I still think Volk kind of waxes him. But that's not going to change if he wins one more fight or not. So you might as well just...
Yeah, like I think Volk waxes all these guys. I think Volk is one of
only
the
guy
best
that can fight with him is Holloway. The only guy that can fight with him is Holloway. It's the only guy that gives him actual chance to lose the round every round.
Do you think that the gap has perhaps widened, though?
I don't know.
Am I prisoner of the moment? Because you're right. The last time we saw Mac, we were dick riding him.
But think about when Holloway fought Cater and just put on just the most virtuoso performance of all time.
Well, has Holloway had a fight? Yeah, he fought.
Yeah, Rodriguez. He beat Rodriguez.
He beat him really bad too. Yeah, man. Fuck.
That's what I'm saying. It's like so undeniable that Holloway has to have that shot. Because he just continues to dog everyone the same way Volkanovski does.
All right.
But Volk's got it on paper that he's won 2 out of 2.
High MMA conversation. Do you right now, who's closer to who? All the way to Volk or to Usman?
I think it's Holloway to Volk, man. I honestly think it is. Which is crazy to say because when I've scored the Covington-Usman fights, my personal scores, I have it 5-5 out of the 10 rounds they fought, and I have that exact same statement as true for Holloway and Volkanovski.
Is Yan Sterling the new addition to the argument?
They're so close, but it's so yeah. But okay, I'm glad you bring that up because this is going to be a big overlay on how stacked bantamweight is. I think there's 4 guys in bantamweight that are those guys. Because that weight class is so stacked.
But you can't include Sandhagen. As much as I'm a Sandhagen fan, you better not be including him in this.
No, I'm not. I would say I'm putting Aldo there because Aldo's looked really good recently. And I know he got dogged by Yan, but who else has dogged him? And you're telling me that Aldo couldn't beat Sterling?
Yeah, Aldo Sterling's a different matchup. It's a different
matchup. And I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Pull up the bantamweight rankings real quick.
I got them. I got them right here. So, if we're going to go just from 6 up, Volashvili is 6. The only reason I say 6 up is to include Volashvili because that's a fun fight for Yan. But you have Rob Font at 5. You have Sandhagen at 4. You have Aldo at 3. Dillashaw at 2. Sterling at champion, and Yan wherever he falls to. Who was
like
1.
The unranked bantamweights more than I like the ranked bantamweights. I'm so annoyed at all these guys. Like, seriously,
isn't it terrible? Well, then you look at.
I want Dominic Cruz to jump somebody, man. I like Dominic Cruz more than I like almost all those guys.
Well, Cruz is 7.
Not Domashvili, but like I'm over Rob Font. I'm over it. Like I just whatever. Maybe that's false. Maybe I shouldn't be, but I'm over it. And then I'm over. I'm not a Dillashaw guy. I'm just not like whatever. Call me a hater. I'm not a Sterling guy. I kind of like. I mean, I don't like Yan, but I like his like skills. I like him as a fighter. And then I like Domashvili. I love Sandhagen, but he's lost to Sterling. He's lost to Yan. He's lost to Dillashaw. Like, goddamn, there's no argument I can.
But he's lost so close to all 3 of them. It sucks so bad.
Sterling wasn't close at all.
Wasn't close, but also it was like a fluke in that sense.
Yeah. Right. But I know that's a hot take though. But like, like, you know what I mean? Where are we at here? But like, I love all these young guys. Like, somebody needs to lower the ladder down, like Tony Ferguson did. Somebody needs to lower the ladder down to an O'Malley, to a Yanez, to a Umar.
Well, let me give you one. Let me paint something real fast. How about Rob Font and Cheeto Vera fight? Not for a title shot or anything, but Cheeto Vera's 8
against somebody. I don't know.
Pedro Munoz.
I think maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I want to say
he is booked against Rob Font. Cheeto Vera and Rob Font are booked for April 30th. So damn,
like that.
I mean, that's what I just called for.
I kind of like that.
I like
hope
that too.
Cheeto wins. I don't know he will.
But check this out. It's big if Cheeto can win, because what narrative does that push from the back end? O'Malley's rematch with him.
Oh, God damn.
And you know the UFC loves it.
I'd rather see O'Malley Yanez, man.
They're not going to give O'Malley anyone.
Fuck you, casuals. Give me O'Malley Yanez.
Well, we talked about this in one podcast, but let me just read you real fast the rankings of two guys are tied at 9, so I'll include them both as the 10 spot. But just these guys down.
Bullshit. Is this the new trend? Is this the new way? What the fuck is up with this?
Well, it's done by
it's tied at 15 or tied at 1.
It's done by a reporter.
Tied at 9 and tied at 4.
Well, it's all done by a reporter. It's done by a reporter ranking, and they give them points for every reporter that ranks them in a certain position. So their points are tied across like the 40 writers that rank them. Yeah, I know. Like, just pick one. Like, have all the writers go into a room and pick who's 9 and 10.
We're talking about Mickey Mouse.
So check it out. So Song Yadong, Pedro Munoz, Frankie Edgar, Ricky Simone, Sean O'Malley, Marlon Moraes, and Rafael Assunção. What I'm going to point out, there's only 2 names on that list that are going to be fighting in, I think, 2 years.
Read my mind.
All the rest of those guys are going to fall at the back.
Yeah.
So we see why there's so many.
Do it now.
You see why there's so many good unranked bantamweights. I'm starting to figure it out. It's because these old bantamweights are just sitting in the rankings, not doing anything.
Just clogging.
Right. They're just barricading the rankings, which I get it. They're old. That's
the worst type of fighter. The fucking ranking up.
Because at least Dominic Cruz has been fighting his way back up the ranks.
Oh, so active. I love Dominic. I'm rooting for, honestly, out of all those top 5 guys that I said I was annoyed with and tired of, Dominic Cruz is not included. I really hope he wins 1 or 2 more and can fucking, you know what I mean? I really hope so.
Cruz, although, would be a sick fight. The name value on that's crazy too.
No, that's awesome. Yeah,
but that would give Dominic Cruz the ability to win that fight and get into the title picture.
I want Aldo and Cruz to fight the guys I don't like.
Me too. Me
too.
You
know what I'm saying?
Me too. I'm right there with you, man. I want to see Aldo fight Dillashaw. If I got to pick, I want those guys to fight because I don't think Dillashaw deserves it like that.
I don't think Dillashaw deserves it like that either. You're right. Aldo, Dillashaw.
I think Sandhagen Font is a beautiful fight. Because they're both 4 and 5, they're both awesome losses. I know he's booked. So Sandhagen Volachvili is probably what's going to come out of it. Which that's still a fun fight.
That's cool. If Sandhagen loses that, though, he's going to be the tragic story of lost to all killers.
But man, who's getting fucked in all of this? It's Petr Yan. Because who's he supposed to fight? He's either dominated the guys that are right below him, or he's barely lost to Aljo.
Out of all those fights we just listed, somebody's going to get an easy win.
Yeah. You're right. That's just what it comes down to. Like MMA math, that's how it's going to have to work out.
Somebody's going to get knocked, a knockout, or, maybe a deep. Who knows?
Interesting. This didn't really clear up bantamweight at all. Instead, it made it way more murky.
Well, and like I said, we still don't know. I guess my final takeaway, we still don't know who the best bantamweight on earth is. We don't. But for featherweight, it's almost pretty clear now it's Volkanovski. As much as I want to say Holloway is on the same level, he just hasn't beaten him in the 2 opportunities, so I have to defer to Volt. You have to.
Yeah.
Because anything else is just fucking
You're literally throwing
debates.
Or you're throwing shit at a wall to see if it sticks. You know what I mean?
It's just the worst type of people, the type of people that try to argue that Peyton Manning was better than Tom Brady.
It's like no, he's not. He can't be. What did he do better?
Like
He just
close.
can't be. Like, I love Peyton Manning. I love him
Yeah,
as a
love
person
him.
more than I do Tom Brady as a person. But as a football player, Tom Brady he's the best ever.
And that's kind of like the perfect like Max Holloway analogy, you know. It kind of reminds me of something similar.
Yeah, like I
But
love Max so much, and he is so great, but maybe he just can't get over that hump against Volk. Like, maybe that's the guy that's ushering him out.
and I still think there's other fun things Holloway could do. Like, what if Holloway, fought a bantamweight or fought a
Holloway
lightweight?
Ortega wouldn't be bad. I wouldn't hate it. See which one gets the rematch, because when they fought each other originally, that was when Ortega still had dreads and didn't go through his like massive transformation of fight style and striking acumen. So it'd be a more fun fight this time.
For sure. Yeah, you're right. There's still a lot of murkiness, but murkiness creates conversation, and murkiness creates possibilities, and eventually, it all shakes out.
Yeah, exactly right, man. So, I mean, yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this week, it seems like. But next week, we're looking forward to Bilal Muhammad and Vicente Luque essentially trying to give us our next welterweight challenger outside of Chimaev Covington. So that's going to be cool.
As much as I want Bilal to win, it's Luque. That money line's actually closer than I thought it would be. Like, I honestly thought. Like,
I thought Luque would be like a minus 240.
Me too.
I don't have the most belief in Bilal, man, if I'm being honest.
Me
Like, I think he's
neither,
really solid, 5 to 10. He's really solid. I think inside the top 4, he's not those guys.
Luque's a goddamn.
Luque's that guy. Luque's one of the guys. Luque can fight Leon Edwards immediately after. Edwards is going to lose to Usman. I'll just say it.
Did you know that's a rematch?
Yeah, Luque Muhammad. Yeah, it's Luque Muhammad too. They fought way long ago.
Yeah, I had to be reminded. Which Bilal's kind of whack because he was doing an interview and he's the one that reminded me. Like, Doug, I wouldn't even have known if you didn't tell me. Like, he knocked him out. Maybe don't remind everybody about your.
Let's see when that was. That was Luque Muhammad was in 2016 of November. That's the same card. Ago. That's the same card McGregor knocked out Alvarez on. Lots changed in those years.
So much has changed. And I think it's a lot closer. I still think Luque is a lot better. Like, a lot.
I think so, too. I think it's
so good. So good everywhere.
Well, it's crazy because I think they've both gotten better, but I don't think Bilal Muhammad's fought the hardest guys. Like, let me just run you his last. He's undefeated in his last 7 fights. One of them's a draw. And it's Leon Edwards, the no contest, right? Which we all know that he was getting dog walked the first round of that fight.
Yeah, but that eye poke, man.
That eye poke was
fun.
That eye poke. So he's beaten Wonder Boy by decision, Damian Maia by decision, Diego Lima by decision, Lyman Good by decision, and then beat Takashi Sato by submission and beat Curtis Millender before that by decision. Before all that, lost to Jeff Neal.
It's not the best. It's not the worst.
Not the best, not the worst. But my point is, it's definitely not the best. And when I go to Luque, let's look at Luque's. So Luque has recently fought Michael Chiesa, win by submission, first round. Tyron Woodley, win by submission, first round. Randy Brown, win by KO, second round. Nico Price, win by doctor's stoppage. Lost to Stephen Thompson. Had a split over Mike Perry, and then it gets a little... But he has a win over Jalen Turner in there. He has... I don't know why he has another win over Nico Price. He has a loss to Leon. And a win over Brian Barberena and Derek Krantz. So I think the Luque is just who he fights speaks for it. Speaks for the whole situation.
Yeah, he's better, man. He's a lot. I think there's value. This might get my cheap ass to actually bet a fucking favorite for once.
Yeah,
I think there's value there.
Man, it's good. I'm interested to see because I think Luque wins, but I don't know how. You know what I mean? Because I think he can finish him sub. I think he can finish him TKO KO. He can beat him in a decision.
But see, doesn't a decision in a 5-rounder kind of favor?
That favors Muhammad. Yeah, for sure. So it's almost like you could hedge. You could hedge with like Bilal by decision or Luque just to win. You could hedge him that way.
Interesting, man. Looking forward to it, brother. I got to be real. The card as a whole kind of a dud, though. There's not another fight on the whole card I give a shit about.
So
next
very
2
tough.
weeks. I look at the card after that. Like, it's a drought to the next pay-per-view, but
it's
hey, we'll
pretty
make
tough.
it happen. We'll make
Yeah,
it
Lemos Andrade. Just yikes.
Which
That's
that
all I have to
money
say.
runs close too, which is interesting.
May 7th, we do get Michael Chandler, Tony Ferguson, Rose Namajunas, Carlos Esparza. So at least within a month, we get back to the huge, crazy big names.